Hey everyone, this is Big Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of the second Eternals trailer. Now for anybody who doesn't know what the Eternals is, it is the 26th superhero movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, centering on a group of superhero beings who were created by experiments thousands of years ago when a race known as the Celestials came to Earth. Having observed for many years, they finally take an active role in the planet's safety when a dangerous group of beings known as the Deviants make an emergence. The film is still currently set for release in theatres only on November the 5th, 2021, and you can check out my breakdown of the first trailer, and I will leave the link within the description and the end title card within this video as well. And just regarding the first trailer, I raised concerns after the bland and very unimaginative look and aesthetic of the characters, who all looked far too similar, and it lacked a certain vibrancy and energy in terms of the comic book spirit, and very much comparison to the source material that we know from the Eternals itself. And there was very much of a lack of understanding where exactly the film lies in terms of the MCU. So did this trailer convince me any more about the movie this time around? And for the most part, I'd have to say yes, it was a far better trailer, most importantly establishing who the Eternals are, what's their purpose, finally telling us where they've been regarding certain events within the MCU post Endgame. We just get a better understanding of its place now within the universe, which I think is vitally important and will be key as to whether Eternals will be successful in terms of the theatrical box office. It also gave us a huge assortment of fantastic visuals, some epic looking shots, giving much more intention that we were being much more imaginative, embracing that cosmic awe and wonder within this segment of the universe, and it looks more distinctive and far different from the Marvel entries that we've seen so far, and that was exactly the point, I feel, of Eternals to begin with. So we're going to go over the standout elements within the trailer itself. So we began the opening scenes where we see Salma Hayek riding on horseback into the house when she's talking to Richard Mann, who plays Icarus, one of the main characters of the Eternals. And we get references very much so to Thanos erasing half of the universe, and how certain beings reversed that snap with the snap of a finger, of course. And of course, this is making reference to Endgame as well. And straight away, this told us within the first 30 seconds, addressing those concerns of who the Eternals are and what exactly their purpose was and what stage we are at in terms of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Salma Hayek states that the snapping of the universe provided a certain level of energy of which the emergence is to begin. So already we get references to where we are, something that was bothering a lot of people as to where this movie took place in terms of the universe. We then get a great visual of the planet Earth where the population is talking back, and then we see a certain energy diving down into the planet's surface, and then we get stunning visuals of the water and the ground submerging, and then we get a further conversation between Salma Hayek and Richard Madden in terms of how long do we have. We basically got 7 days, so we assume then that this emergence is of the Deviants themselves, and this was a result of the snapping back of the universe. We then get that great shot of a red being alien. I assume this is another Deviant standing amongst a council, so we see one of these members is Salma Hayek. So again, this could very much be backstory or a prologue part as to this group of Guardians, I guess, are discussing the emerging threat of the Deviants. So I imagine this will be amongst the first earlier scenes within the movie. We then get that quote that they came together on planet Earth, the Eternals, 7,000 years ago to protect Earth from the Deviants. So again, this is good that we are finally establishing what the team are about. We then get an explanation to a question that everybody was wondering about since we saw the first trailer for this, when Kit Hartington asks, quite rightly, where the Eternals were during the Thanos conflict or any other wars. And Gemma Chan's Sensei states that they were only allowed to deal with conflicts that didn't involve the Deviants. I'm not completely convinced by that explanation, to be honest, but I guess we'll get more reference to that when we watch the movie. We get great visual shots of Richard Madden's Icarus shooting the monster with his eyes, very cool Superman-esque action there. And then we get another fantastic visual shot of what is surely a Celestial. He looks so big, so imposing. You get all of those cosmic vibes of Jack Kirby and his overall artwork and aesthetic. In terms of the comic book source material, we see this figure here in this crimson, reddish, galaxy-like light that we see. dare I say, a bit similar to Galactus. If you remember, we got reference to the Celestials in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so we assume that the Celestials are the ones instructing the Eternals not to get involved within the current conflicts on planet Earth. But again, we'll get further reference to that when we watch the movie. We then get reference that we have to basically locate the other members of the team wherever they've been now for a number of years. I guess some of them have been hiding out on planet Earth over centuries. So that was a bit confusing to me, but of course we'll find that out within the movie itself. But we get some shots here of assembling the team. We get a very cool shot of Angelina Jolie as the warrior Athena, giving very much those Wonder Woman vibes. And yeah, Angelina, she still got it. She still looks fantastic as always. But regarding the team itself, I'm still not convinced by some of the group members. I know this is Marvel's push for more representation, particularly in terms of the LGBT community, but I'm just someone who favours very much comic book characters who look very much athletically conditioned as opposed to the source material. It just exudes a lot more confidence in these characters when they actually look like superheroes. So again, I refer to that initial shot from the comic book material where we have a really vibrant and energetic aesthetic in terms of the Eternals, and I just don't think that the representation here matches that source material. But despite that, we still get some cool visual shots throughout the rest of the trailer. We have a shot here where we see the ship emerging from the ground as the other Eternals join it. Very cool shot on here. We see the young child, who I believe is named Sprite, showing off fireworks. That looks very cool. We see Kit Hartington's character. I believe he's playing the character called Dave Whitman. We see him disintegrating the fallen bus within the street, very good. And then we get some gorgeous visuals of Gemma Chan, who's playing the character as Cersei, one of the leaders of the Eternals, entering this fortress, it looks like, full of emerald green colours. She taps into these crystals. Very much vibes I was getting of the Fortress of Solitude from Superman. And then it formulates this segmented wall of protection. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks absolutely fabulous. We get these light green walls surrounding the shape as well. It looks absolutely great and very much representative of the visual tone and medium that they're going for throughout this movie. We get yet another cool shot of Angelina Jolie's Athena exhibiting her energy yellow blade. She just looks so cool in this shot. And then we see her again taking on the monsters, which I believe is another prologue sequence, which will be near the beginning of the film, where we go back to the other reference where we see that the Eternals have been protecting the Earth for thousands of years. So I think, along with the previous shot that we got with Icarus using his laser beams from his eyes, taking down these monsters, so that will, what I will believe, be the opening act of the movie, just showing us how long the Eternals have been around protecting the Earth. And then we get the first shot of what I deem is a Deviant. It's very visually striking. This might be the overall Deviant leader within the group of the main villains that will be taking on the Eternals. And then we get that shot where one of them has captured Athena with its tentacles in this cave here, and we see that her eyes go white. It's a very eerie scene here, so it would be interesting to see how dark or intense they go in terms of the tone of this movie. Now, will this be a narrative where the Deviant leader tries to convert Athena and take her over and go against the Eternals? We will wait and see. We get that line where he basically says you can't protect any of them, so she gets captured earlier on, I suppose, and then he will try and turn her against the team. Now, in terms of the Deviants themselves, the only concern I have is that with all of these alien beings looking very impressive visually, will they be lacking in terms of personality? Now, we all know it's Marvel's way to prioritise on the heroes, especially when we have 10 members of the team within the Eternals. We may yet again have the weaker villains, as is too often the case with the majority of their movies. So I'm just worried that we're going to get 3/3 of the movie concentrating on the heroes, where they've come from, assembling together. We get scenes again of much more humour and camaraderie between the team, and it's going to be too lopsided. So a lot of the Deviants are just going to be these CGI generic monsters, more like cannon fodder, that the Eternals will be taking out and will basically just have one interesting leader of the team. So that's another big concern that I have in terms of the villains. Now, the MCU was making much of an improvement in terms of its villains in the earlier to mid stages of Phase 3, with the likes of Zemo from Captain America Civil War, Killmonger in Black Panther, and of course Thanos in Infinity War. But they have regressed slightly in terms of the 3 Disney Plus shows and Taskmaster from Black Widow. So hopefully they can make these Deviants far more interesting in terms of a character rather than just CGI cannon fodder for the Eternals to take out. We then get another exciting shot of Icarus taking on what looks like a flying eagle, essentially another deviant using his eye beams. That looks very cool. Looks another very good action set piece again. In terms of the concept of the Eternals, we can expect a lot of epic CGI spectacle. We all know this is the way with the Marvel movies, that we get a very explosive CGI heavy third acts. That's always the way. But again, this movie is going to be very successful in terms of the characterization and also the threat of the Deviants. And I think if it can succeed on that front, along with the visuals, then it will be very successful in terms of its connection with audiences. So overall, yes, I'm far more interested now in this project overall. It was a far superior trailer with lots of awesome visuals, finally some context as to what the Eternals are, some semblance of the villains, and where this connects in terms of the overall Marvel universe, more action, more spectacle, and just much more to talk about and really debate on going ahead forward for the film's release. So whilst there are still some concerns in terms of some of the cast members and whether they actually look the part, there is still some bland, I think, visuals, aesthetic. In terms of the team overall, we get the same team shot that we saw at the end of the first trailer. And I still don't like the overall costumes in some of the overall characters. I think they could have gone a bit further in terms of making their look far more distinctive, like the comic book source materials I mentioned before. And overall, I still think Marvel still has some work to do in terms of promoting this movie and making it cross over to general audiences. I still think there's too many characters. 10 in the roster is far too much, and I still believe there will be some sort of double cross. Maybe there's a mole within the team of Eternals who's a spy for the Deviants, and maybe we might get a few character deaths throughout this movie. Maybe Marvel will take a risk as well, but we will definitely see how events play out. But so far on this second trailer overall, I'm far more enthused now, far more excited seeing where the Eternals go, and maybe I think this trailer will present a bit more hope that it will be far more successful than what a lot of people are deeming it to be in general overall. So those are my thoughts and feelings and review and breakdown of the second trailer for Eternals. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you far more hyped up for this film? Do you think it's got better chances now that we've had far more of an extensive look in terms of the plot and the story and the characters? Do you feel this could be much more successful at the box office going into November, when hopefully theatres can open in a much more wider capacity? And do you think it's very wise now that Marvel have decided to do away with their day-and-day streaming release on Disney Plus for both Eternals and Shang-Chi as well, following the fallout from the Black Widow performance? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.